Amma had stopped feeling her hands hours ago. Her arms were trapped under the heavy sand, pressed tightly against her body. The heat from the sun had burned her skin until she could no longer tell where the pain ended and her body began. She had tried to fight at first. She had begged the warriors of her tribe to hear her, to understand she had not done what they believed. But their faces had remained hard, their eyes cold with anger. They pushed her down into the shallow pit and covered her up to her neck. When the sand reached her chin, she had stopped speaking. There was no point anymore. Now she lay in the fading light, unable to move, unable to wipe the sweat from her face. The river nearby made a soft sound as it moved between the rocks, and she stared at the water, wishing she could touch it one last time. Her throat felt like it was filled with fire. Even breathing hurt. A small insect crawled across her cheek, and she could not even lift a finger to push it away. Amma tried to keep her eyes open, but each blink became slower. Her tribe had left at sunrise, leaving her alone with the promise that the night would take her. She did not hate them. She did not have the strength left for hate. She only wished they had listened. She wished someone had believed her words. Maybe then she would not be here. Maybe then she would be home, sitting by the fire with her mother. Hours passed, or maybe only minutes. She could not tell. Time felt strange when every second was filled with the same pain. She whispered a quiet prayer in her language, a final goodbye to the world. The wind carried her voice away like a weak spark dying in the air. She let her eyes fall closed and prepared herself for darkness, but the darkness did not come. Instead, she heard something else, small at first, distant, but real. A sound like footsteps on dry leaves. Amma's breath caught in her throat. She waited, wondering if it was a dream or maybe an animal coming to finish her. She opened her eyes as much as she could, but the sun had lowered and shadows blurred everything. The footsteps came closer. They were slow, careful, and too heavy to be a fox or wolf. Amma's heart began to beat faster. For the first time in hours, fear returned to her chest. "Hello?" a voice called out in English. Amma froze. It was a human voice, a man's voice. She tried to speak, but her lips barely moved. Her voice came out as a weak breath. The man stepped closer, his shape now clearer. He had a horse behind him and a bag slung over his shoulder. His clothes were worn, dusty from travel. He looked around for the source of the sound. Then his eyes lowered, and he saw her. Amma saw the shock on his face. He knelt beside her, his shadow falling over her face, giving her a moment of cool air. "God," he whispered softly. "Who did this to you?" Amma could not answer. Her mouth opened, but no sound came. She looked at him with what little strength she had left. The man quickly took his water canteen, opened it, and held it near her lips. "Don't drink too fast," he said gently. Amma tried to sip the water carefully, but her body was so thirsty that she almost choked. He pulled the canteen back for a moment, letting her breathe, then gave her another small sip. "My name is Daniel," he said, voice calm even though she could see worry in his eyes. "Can you understand me?" She blinked once. He let out a slow breath, relieved. "Good. I'm going to help you. Just stay awake, all right?" Amma tried to speak again, but only managed one word. "Leave." Daniel leaned closer. "What?" "Danger," she whispered, her voice cracking. He shook his head. "I'm not leaving you. Whoever did this isn't here now. And even if they come, I can't just walk away." His hands dug into the sand around her neck. He worked fast but careful, trying not to hurt her. The sand was packed tight, especially near her shoulders, and he had to push hard to loosen it. Amma bit back a cry as the pressure shifted around her ribs. "It's all right," Daniel said softly. "I know it hurts, but you're going to be okay." His hands were strong, rough from work, but they moved with surprising gentleness. Bit by bit, he freed her shoulders, then her arms, then the rest of her upper body. When the sand loosened around her waist, he slid his arms under her and lifted her carefully. Amma felt her body fall against his chest, weak like a rag doll. She tried to speak again. "Why? Help?" "Because you're alive," he answered, "and no one should die alone like this." Daniel carried her to his horse, laid her over the saddle, and held her steady as he walked toward his small campsite, hidden behind a cluster of trees. The fire pit was cold, but he set it up quickly, placing blankets on the ground and lowering her gently onto them. Amma closed her eyes, not passing out this time, only trying to catch her breath. Daniel gathered more water, checked her wrists and ankles for injuries, and offered her a piece of dried fruit. She managed only a small bite, but it was enough to keep her awake. He sat beside her. "Do you know who did this to you?" Amma opened her eyes slowly. She looked at the sky for a moment before answering. "My tribe." Daniel blinked. "Your own people?" Amma nodded weakly. "Why?" Her eyes filled with quiet sorrow. "They believed something false." Daniel didn't push her for more details. He could see how exhausted she was. Instead, he placed another blanket over her and added more wood to the fire. The flames grew, casting a warm glow over the campsite. Night fully settled. The stars appeared, and the forest around them became dark. Daniel stayed awake, watching her, checking her breathing, making sure she was all right. Every time Amma opened her eyes, she saw him there. Hours passed before she finally whispered, "You should go." Daniel raised an eyebrow. "And leave you here? Not happening." "They will come," she said. "My tribe. They will follow my tracks. They will see your horse. They will think you took me." Daniel rubbed the back of his neck. "Well, that's not good." "It is not safe for you," she said, struggling to push herself up. "You saved me. That is enough. Go." But Daniel gently pressed her shoulder back down. "You're not strong enough to move. And I'm not the kind of man who saves someone just to abandon them afterward." Amma stared at him for a long moment. She did not understand this man. Humans were known for many things, but kindness was not something her tribe often spoke of. Yet here he was, risking danger, losing time, using his strength to protect someone he did not know. She turned her face away. "You do not know me." "I don't have to," Daniel said. "You needed help. That's all I needed to know." Amma closed her eyes again, letting his words settle inside her. For the first time since sunrise, she felt something other than fear or pain. She felt a tiny spark of safety. Later in the night, Amma woke to the crackling sound of the fire. Daniel was still awake, sharpening a piece of wood into a small spear. Not because he planned to fight her tribe, but to protect the camp from animals. "You should sleep," she whispered. He shook his head. "Not until I know you're all right." Amma felt something tighten in her chest, something she had not felt in a long time. Not fear, not pain, something else, something warm. Daniel glanced at her and gave a faint smile. "You're tough, you know. Most people wouldn't survive what you went through." Amma gave a weak smile, just a small one. "Maybe I was meant to meet you." Daniel didn't know what to say to that. He only nodded, adding more wood to the fire so it would last until morning. Amma watched the flames for a while, letting her mind slow down. The pain was still there, but it was softer now, easier to bear. Her eyelids grew heavy, and she whispered a soft thank you in her language. Daniel didn't understand the words, but he understood the emotion. Eventually, Amma drifted into a deep, healing sleep, feeling safer than she had in many days. Daniel kept watch beside her, aware of the risks, but unwilling to walk away. As the first light of dawn touched the sky, he looked over at her and whispered to himself, "They're going to come for her." but I won't let them hurt her again." Amma slept peacefully, unaware that the most dangerous part of her journey had yet to begin. Amma woke before the sun fully rose. At first her eyes opened slowly, heavy from sleep, and she felt the blanket wrapped around her shoulders. The fire had died down to warm embers, and a soft morning breeze moved through the trees, carrying the smell of wet leaves and river water. For a moment she forgot where she was. Then she remembered the sand, the pain, the fear, and the stranger who had saved her. She turned her head slightly and saw Daniel sitting nearby, his back against a tree, his hat tipped forward as he tried to rest. He had not slept much. His shoulders looked tense, and his clothes were still dusty from carrying her. Amma studied him quietly. She still did not understand why a man who owed her nothing had risked so much. Humans and Cherokee rarely trusted each other. Yet this man had stayed awake most of the night to protect her. She tried to sit up. Her muscles screamed with pain, but she pushed through it. Daniel's eyes opened at the sound, and he straightened himself right away. "You shouldn't try to stand yet," he said, moving closer. Amma breathed slowly, trying not to wince. "I must. They may already be close." Daniel nodded, but placed a steadying hand on her shoulder. "You can sit, but don't push yourself too hard." Amma leaned back against the tree trunk and wrapped the blanket tighter. Her body still felt weak, but her mind was clearer now. She looked at the ground, then at Daniel. "You regret saving me?" she asked quietly. Daniel shook his head. "No." Then he looked off toward the direction of the river. "I just don't like what might come next." Amma understood what he meant. Her tribe would not appreciate an outsider interfering in their punishment. They might think he had tried to steal her or take her away. Even if she told them the truth, they might not listen. "What if they kill you?" she whispered. Daniel looked at her with a calm confidence. "Then they do, but I'm not going to run." Amma stared at him, surprised. "Why? You do not know me. I am no one to you." Daniel smiled a little. "You're someone who deserved to live. That's enough for me." Amma did not know what to say. Warmth rose in her chest again, confused and unexpected. She lowered her gaze, unable to hold his eyes for long. They stayed silent for a few minutes, listening to the forest waking up. Birds began calling from the trees, and the soft sound of the river drifted on the wind. For a short moment, it felt peaceful, until Amma's eyes sharpened suddenly. She heard something faint in the distance. Hoofsteps, more than one. They were still far, but she knew the sound well. Her tribe had horses. Daniel noticed her expression change. He stood up quickly and grabbed the small spear he carved during the night. "They're coming?" he asked. Amma nodded. "Yes." Daniel let out a long breath. "All right. Then let's be ready." Amma tried again to stand, using the tree for support. Daniel moved to help her, but she raised her hand weakly, asking for a moment. She managed to get to her feet, though her legs trembled. She placed one hand on Daniel's arm to steady herself. "You must not fight them," she said softly. "If you raise a weapon, they will not listen." Daniel looked at the spear, then at her. "If they come at you—" "They will not," she said. "Not if I speak first." Daniel hesitated, but finally lowered the spear. He tossed it aside. "Fine. We'll try your way." Amma's breathing was uneven, but her eyes were steady. She walked with Daniel to the edge of the trees where they would be visible. The sound of hooves grew louder. Daniel positioned himself slightly in front of her, not enough to hide her, but enough to protect her if needed. Moments later, the first rider appeared through the trees. Then another. Then 5 more. 7 warriors in total, all Cherokee. Their clothing marked them from her tribe, their expressions sharp and ready for conflict. They pulled their horses to a stop the moment they saw Amma standing beside the human man. Their leader A tall warrior named Sani narrowed his eyes. "Amma," he said, "you are alive." Amma felt a sting behind her ribs. His voice held no surprise, only suspicion. "I am alive because this man saved me," she said clearly. Sani's gaze flicked to Daniel. "You dug her out." Daniel nodded. "I did." "You had no right," Sani said sharply. "She was dying," Daniel replied. "And I wasn't going to let that happen." Another rider stepped forward, anger in his voice. "You interfered with our justice." Amma stepped in front of Daniel before he could respond. Her voice grew stronger, steadier. "It was not justice. You punished me without asking for truth, without hearing my side." The warriors shifted nervously. Some looked uncertain. Some looked frustrated. Sani crossed his arms. "You had the chance to speak." "No one listened," Amma said. "You believed the lies because you feared conflict with the rival clan." Sani's jaw tightened. He did not deny it. The other warriors looked at each other, uncomfortable. Daniel watched quietly. He knew this moment was important. Amma took a slow breath. "If you want me to return, I will return, but not as a criminal. I did nothing wrong." Her words hung in the air. Sani's eyes moved between Amma and Daniel. Finally, he spoke. "If what you say is true, this man has put himself in danger for nothing." Amma shook her head. "He protected an innocent woman. That is not nothing." Daniel felt something shift inside him when she said that. One of the younger warriors stepped forward. "Let her speak before the council," he said. "If she lies, she will be punished again. But if she speaks truth, we must listen." The others murmured in agreement. Even Sani seemed to soften slightly. He turned to Daniel. "Human," he said, "you may come with us and speak for her, but you touch no weapon and you show no disrespect. If you do, we will act." Daniel nodded calmly. "I'll do whatever keeps this fair." Amma felt a small sense of relief, but she knew danger still lingered. The warriors could change their minds at any moment. Daniel gently touched her arm. "Can you ride?" he asked quietly. Amma nodded weakly. "I will try." Daniel helped her onto his horse, making sure she sat steadily. He climbed up behind her, holding the reins, careful not to hurt her. The warriors surrounded them, forming a loose circle as they guided the group back toward the tribe's camp. The journey was slow. Amma leaned back against Daniel, her exhaustion growing. Every few minutes he asked if she was all right, and she nodded even when she wasn't. The forest thinned, and the camp came into view. Tents arranged in a large circle, smoke rising from the morning fires, and people walking around beginning their day. When they entered the camp, curious eyes turned their way. Amma heard whispers, saw pointing hands. She felt them staring not only at her, but at Daniel. Outsiders were rare here. The warriors guided them to the center, where the council fire burned. Elders stepped forward, their faces lined with age and discipline. Sani spoke first, telling them that Amma had survived, and that the human had saved her. The elders looked surprised, but remained calm. Amma stepped forward, though her legs trembled. Daniel stayed behind her, silent but ready. "I was punished because someone lied about me," she said, her voice firm. "I did not betray my tribe. I did not help the rival clan. I was blamed because someone wanted to hide their own actions." The elders exchanged glances. One of them, the oldest woman in the tribe, stepped closer. "You spoke these words before," she said gently. "Why should we believe you now?" Amma lifted her chin. "Because I almost died. And before my last breath, I would have spoken the truth again." The elder nodded slowly. "And the human? Why did he save you?" Daniel stepped forward then, clearing his throat. "Because it was the right thing to do," he said. "I didn't take her from you. I didn't try to hide her. I only gave her a chance to live." The elder studied him carefully. Humans were not known for humility or fairness in this region, yet this one had risked much. Another elder spoke. If Amma lives, the rival clan must answer. If she is innocent, justice was not done. Sani's face tightened, but he did not argue. He stepped forward and gestured to the warriors. "We will speak with the rival clan," he said. "We will find the truth." Hours passed as the warriors left. Amma sat by the fire with Daniel nearby. Some tribe members kept their distance. Others offered water or food. Children stared at Daniel with wide eyes, whispering about the human who walked into their camp without fear. When the warriors returned near sunset, their expressions told the story before they spoke. The rival clan had confessed. The lie had been uncovered. Amma had been innocent all along. The elder woman raised her voice. "Amma of the Cherokee is free of all blame." Relief washed over Amma so strongly her knees almost buckled. Daniel caught her arm quickly, steadying her. The elder smiled softly at him. "You showed courage," she said, "and heart." Daniel nodded humbly. "Anyone would have done the same." "No," she replied, "not anyone." The tribe offered Amma a place by the fire, warm blankets, and food. She was home again, not as an outcast, but as a woman cleared of shame. Yet as the night grew dark, her eyes kept drifting to Daniel, who stood at the edge of the camp, unsure if he should stay or leave. Amma walked to him slowly. "You look like someone preparing to disappear," she said softly. Daniel chuckled. "Didn't want to get in the way." "You saved my life," Amma said. "You stood between me and danger. You spoke for me when my own people would not listen. Why would you be in the way?" Daniel opened his mouth but didn't know what to say. Amma stepped closer. "I do not know where my path goes now," she said. "But I know one thing." Daniel waited. "I would not be alive without you," Amma said. "And I want you to stay, for a little while." Daniel looked at her eyes, which were soft, warm, and full of gratitude that ran deeper than words. He nodded slowly. "A little while," he said. "I can do that." Amma smiled, a small but honest smile that reached her tired eyes. She guided him toward the fire, where the tribe welcomed him with cautious curiosity. And as the flames rose, painting the night with gentle light, Amma sat beside the human who refused to leave her to die. The tribe had nearly lost her. But fate had placed Daniel in her path, and now her story was no longer one of pain and fear, but of courage, survival, and unexpected companionship. Their journey had begun in darkness, but it ended in the warm glow of a future neither of them had seen coming.